Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gamers of all colours, creeds, and denominations, welcome once again to another We Gamers interview. Today, I am fortunate to be joined by Max. Max, of course, is from Hun in the Sun and is running the Kickstarter presently for Airships, North Pole Quest, the game. A rather fine, splendid period game using, of course, airships. If you're not familiar with it, there will be links appearing at the bottom. There will be links appearing at the end of the video. So make sure and do check it out. Now, normally when we do interviews with Kickstarter designers and project leaders, you will be familiar with seeing the tired, sunken eyes, the disheveled hair, the shirt that's possibly buttoned up the wrong way, and usually surrounded by a stack of coffee cups as they live on caffeine and stress to get through the difficult times. Max, however, cannot claim just quite the same amount of stress, because when asked earlier, "What were you doing this morning, Max?" "Oh, I'm just flying my antique biplane over the Tuscan mountains." And then he sent photographs to prove that he was flying his antique biplane over the Tuscan mountains. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you quite possibly the most relaxed games designer and Kickstarter I've ever met, Max.
Hello. Nice to meet you. Sometimes I'm stressed for me too, but I need to relax. And I need to think. I need to refresh my mind.
And I cannot imagine a better way than fly. I mean, you know, bad enough that you're flying over the Tuscan mountains, but to be doing it in an antique biplane somehow just rubs salt in the wounds of us mere mortals.
If you want to design something about 30s or 20s, you have to be deeply, I would say, involved, and you have to feel it. It's a sort of I feel a cosplay. I put my headset, I put my goggles, and I say, oh God, I'm exactly in the 20s now, so let's fly.
Well, I suppose I have talked to games designers before who, when they've been doing a World War II game or whatever, they'll stick on a uniform. Some will even go flashy and buy a cap. But to go flying in a biplane, that's a new one on me. You win. You win the award for commitment to the role. Well, I suppose we should start, and I'm going to, just for the benefit of our normal sort of watchers, you will all know that I don't tend to run unscripted questions, but I have chosen to today because I do not speak very good Italian. By that, I don't speak any. Max, of course, as you'll notice, speaks perfect Italian, possibly even French and a couple of other languages. But English and he and I can sometimes be a little bit awkward. So I have pre-written the questions. So if you do see my eyes scanning down the page in front of me, he's not pointing a gun at me and forcing me to read this. These are my questions.
Sure.
So, Max, we'll get the ball rolling. Obviously, Airships, the game, was not a chance idea. You know, you weren't just sitting in the coffee shop one day and thought, oh, you know, I've got a great idea. So can you tell us a little bit about the people that you've come together with and how you got to know each other to come up with this idea even?
Well, okay. As you probably understood, first of all, is my passion for aircraft and airplanes that started years and years before I started thinking about the game. Aircraft means meteorology, means technique, means navigation. So all these things. Then airships, I mean, profiles and achievements. And at the end, even the other things that I did in the past, because the game came after a book. In reality, everything started with the book before the game. The book was, one day I decided to 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 design and to realize the most beautiful book about airship. This was my goal. And I started, and someone said, "Oh, Max, you are doing a great job, but everything is wrong." What does it mean wrong? He said, okay, you're doing a very beautiful thing, but you are missing historical informations. You are missing the scientific approach. So I decided to completely stop, and I decided to restart working with experts. And then working with a lot of experts all around the world, I became an expert. And now, it's strange, but I'm considered an expert in this field. So starting from the book, when I was writing the book, imagine infographics, maps, models. So then I realized an exhibition about airship, huge, 10,000 people, 12,000 people. So I started imagining multimedia. I started imagining a lot of different things. So at the end, the idea of the game was just 1+1. My passion for games, my passion for airships, and I try to join the gap, to close the gap, and to make this game. Obviously, starting with the same guys, the same experts, and the same team that helped me to make this book.
So how many of yous, I mean, sorry, let me reword that. I was going to say how many people are in the team, but Hun and the Sun is obviously one aspect of it. But I mean, are all your team part of that game development, or is this a case that you have friends? Because you talk about aviation experts and all the rest of it. Is this more like an informal group who are helping you develop it? Or is it everyone's regularly round the table together, friends together, drink together, play together, eat together? Just to try and understand the relationship with each other.
Okay, like for big projects, I told you we're talking about aircraft design. If you design an aircraft, you can't do everything by yourself. So in this case, my goal was to make a game where a lot of things happen, like the weather changes, like the technical aspects, historical aspects. So I involved first my team. I have a great team of young people, very motivated. They all were my students, and they are great. And they love games, they love design, they love aircraft too. Then I obviously had in my attitude of involving people, so I involved meteorologists, then I involved experts of statistics, then I involved this. It's normal, and these people are so nice, and they are so helpful. And so in time, we became a great team of nice people. So actually, the team has a core, my studio, and the group of collaborators, and then this huge network of people that are helping us to try to make a new game based on.
So sorry about that, folks. Little technical glitch there. Just to recap, as Max was saying before, he got rudely interrupted by Tuscan thunderstorms. Working with the various aspects of the team, core group and extended family. It's fascinating though. I always love talking to people who go that extra mile. You're coming to games design as a technical designer in the real world, and you're looking at things like weather patterns. So instead of going, oh, I need weather patterns in my game, I know, you're going to actual meteorologists and going, so tell me how weather patterns work, and then give me something that I can put in a game that's going to represent weather patterns. And I find that fascinating, how you can bring in those different minds to try and get a much more authentic and realistic mechanic for a game than just kind of going, well, this card says it's stormy and this card says it's snowing. That's brilliant. I love it. Pardon me. by the sounds of things, this has been quite a time spanning project. Just how long would you say? I know the book's been one part of it, but how long would you say overall yourself and the various parts of the team have been working on the airships project to date?
Okay, except for the book that took 10 years, the game started some probably 4 years ago. But yeah, not every day. You know that I'm not a published game publisher. I'm not a game designer. I mean, a real game designer working every day on game design. So I took my time. And I started 4 years ago. We were talking with a great friend who's an aviation historian, and we said, "Oh, why we can't start thinking to convert, to use the book as a base for a game?" Then because we both are teaching at the university, we thought that the best was to involve young people in the game, in the design phase, and we involved a nice guy. Who did his thesis about the game. So it took 1 year to wait, and at the end it was terrible, just terrible. So we said, okay, please join the team, but follow us because probably we can do something a little bit better. And so but we changed basically every year we changed completely the game. We changed the mechanisms, the gameplay. It was improved in time because you were laughing about the meteorologist, but in reality, think that at the beginning was a dice called meteor dice, weather dice. So, but at the end, we realized that it was really too basic, not to complicate the game, but to make something a little bit smarter or a little bit nicer, just to improve the game. And
Yeah,
improving the game, you improved even the target. At the beginning, the game was intended for basically the same target of the book, and then we decide to open to real players. I like to play with the war games, so we try to make it more strategical.
yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, veering off slightly the sort of the questions. It's obvious looking at the book. Um, I don't want to be sacrilegious, but you know the passion that's gone into what I've seen of the book is of biblical proportions. You know, not only its presentation, but every aspect of its quality. You're familiar obviously with coffee book tables. I or coffee table books. You know, they're these huge books that people buy. They've no interest in looking at. It's because it's there to just look pretty. But yours sort of just cries out to, you know, I want to lift it off the screen and look at it. Possibly that's the wargamer slash role player in me, where I look at a book like that and think there's ideas in here that I can use in a game. And that obviously is where your own seeds started when your friend said you need to make this into a game. But for 4 years, I mean, we've talked to quite a lot of games designers who design games for a living all the time. And 4 years is pretty average. That sounds like a reasonable period. I know one game that was on the planning table for about 10 years before it came to market. So yeah, you're doing all right. You're doing okay.
Oh, and I have plenty of anecdotes about the development because obviously every time we involved people, they brought with them the other suggestions, other solutions. So we and we were very, I would say, we had to restart and to rethink and to read something about book. But however, I think that the book itself brought us a lot of visibility to myself, especially in this field. So I have people that, I mean, Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden wrote the preface for my book. So imagine that, and this is not because I'm nobody. I'm a normal people, but people are so passionate about these things. When you talk about epic things, when you talk about adventure, when you talk about past, you know, when I I, I told you I work on beautiful planes, fast and roomy. But when I land with my biplane, with my old biplane, people, the crowd come and say, "Oh, that's beautiful," you know. So there is something that pushes us toward adventure and toward the past, the great past. And this
Oh,
was a, I mean,
I would completely agree with you, and I think there's that sense of that time of adventure, and that there's a romantic sort of view of it too,
romantic, yeah.
but also just the aesthetics, and you know where I'm coming from. I mean, airships. I mean, just airships. They're just beautiful as far as I'm concerned. I have, but unlike you, I mean, you're an engineer. I mean, I keep forgetting you're not. You're an engineer. You're a professor. You're a lecturer. This is your sort of bread and butter field. And I imagine that sometimes you look at the thing, and go, structural points and all the rest of it. From I've been no age, I've just looked at airships and just gone, I want one. and all my friends will tell you, if there's been a game with an airship in it, I own it.
Yeah,
Whether it's good or bad.
I have friends that fly airships and think that if you want to, if you want to laugh again, think that I sit in the board of a Swedish company that is intended to bring passengers to the North Pole by airship in 2024. Real airship, real people, real flights. So, and all this world is very small. We know each other. And it's fantastic, and it's really fantastic because you don't have to do anything that connecting points, connecting dots, you know. And at the end of the game was not my first and unique goal. It was an achievement of my career. I wanted to do it. I wanted to touch it, you know. So and it's I told you that the director of Kung Fu Panda said, Max, do whatever you want, but I want the game, no matter if it works or not, but I want. So I obviously had to slow down for to make not too complicated, not too not too pretentious,
Yeah.
not too sophisticated, because it's a game. You have to enjoy, not to study.
No, I get you. Sorry, my mind's still coming to terms with the fact that somebody's going to run airship trips to the North Pole and that I want to be on one. Um, I think you've probably answered about over the course of it. I think you've answered 3 or 4 questions in my plan out of turn. Anyway, I'm going to jump a question here because I think it makes more sense than the one I was going to ask, and that's that. And you mentioned it very briefly. A lot of games now go for the whole digital aspect, be it that you use a phone for part of it or whatever. The U-boat one that came out recently comes to mind, where an awful lot of the game is policed for you on the device. Have you shied away from using modern gimmicks, as I would call them, like that, through a decided choice, or is it purely because it doesn't fit the aesthetic of the game?
If you mean if you mean about new technologies, applications, and so on, I love them. Absolutely love them. Obviously, it's to me it's good when they work together and not when they have to be competitive. Or I think we are planning to make an application, but the application is not intended for solving some aspects of the game to solve, but they are intended to enhance. Let me say, if the board has meteorology as a weather areas that are moving on the board, imagine if I can project with the video projector the weather on the map. So yesterday I was in Lucca. Lucca is famous because of the Lucca game, and Comics and Game is the biggest event in Europe about games and comics. And we were talking about to play the game on a floor 8 meters per 8 meters, projecting the winds, like a meteorological chart.
Yes.
So this is what I think about improving the technology. So with the game, you will have a sort of interactive PDF that is intended to obviously collect the rules, but also to make some hyperlinks and hypertext in order to understand the history, geography, and technique behind the game. Because I mean, it's perfect for playing, perfect for having fun, but I want people know this unbelievable story. We don't know anything about airship. We remember the Hindenburg that exploded,
Yeah.
but in reality, think that in 1926 and 1928, airships, Italian airships, by the way, reached the North Pole, really. And one of the bakers of my game yesterday is the nephew of one of the people that died during the second flight of the Umberto Nobile when they crashed on the North Pole. And his nephew is grandfather flew away into the airship, and was never uh, found. So imagine that it's an interesting story
Yeah.
behind, and they want not to teach, but to push people to understand. So in this case, the applications and technologies are great because they are they can accelerate this process of this help for the curiosity you can have about these things, these stories.
Yeah, no, that's good. You're right. There is it's probably, I don't know why. I mean, you're quite right. The Hindenburg is remembered, and then most other people, when they think of airships, they think of German zeppelins and wartime sort of evil geniuses in movies. And I mean, it's like the Empire State Building had a gantry for mooring airships at. And when you tell people that, they're like, "What? How did it land? It didn't. They had like a gantry that went out to it, and you walk, and you just looked at with disbelief, like you're talking some sort of alien language." Um, you've talked about the weather mechanic, and you've talked about the technical sort of team that you have. From your point of view, and mechanics obviously are an important part of any game, but there's an aspect of the game as it sits at the minute that you're particularly proud of, that when you look at one particular part of it, I know you're proud of it all, but is there anything that through the development was a challenge that now you look at that mechanic and think, you know what, that is just perfect, I love you?
Probably is the development of the weather system, because at the beginning it was based on the fate on the dice. So the dice was snow, fog, and it was it, I mean good enough for playing. But when we developed this idea of a rotating board under the main board with a lot of holes, a lot of windows, you can see the other, you can see the icons of the same icons. I mean, fog, rain, or thunderstorms coming up in this I mean, in this very basic way, because it's like a toy for children, for kids. But imagine that the weather is moving like in reality from west to east, and the sequence of the weather is based on scientific approach. So I love that. I mean, I love the fact that we simplified science, and we made it a sort of paperwork, not nothing too complicated, but based on. And so I'm very proud about
It sounds lovely, and I must admit, it's really nice in a board game when it's done right as well, that there are aspects of the board that kind of move and change how the game's influenced as well. So I can just imagine that. Yeah, that just tickles my fancy. Where were we now? Sort of, I've lost track of where I am. Yeah. Okay. One thing. Now, this is sort of. I realise this is a bit of a jump, but you know, you're talking to a boy from Ireland, so our heads don't go from A to B the same as you technical people. Looking through your Kickstarter, and I know this is your first time at Kickstarter. We'll talk about that shortly as well, but it's you know, a lot of it's quite as you would expect. A pledge level for, you know, give us a bit of support, and a pledge level for, you kind of like the idea, here's some digital pictures and all the rest of it. Then obviously there's the game pledge, the book pledge in its own right. The pledge for 3 copies of the game, which is nice, because that's quite a good saving. If there's 3 or 4 friends want to get together and get a copy each, that works in well. But then there's this huge jump. In my mind, it's a huge jump from kind of the game to the fancy version of the game. Now, I realize that also comes with the like your display. This is one, folks, that you need to check this out. If you like airships, one of the pledge levels, and you miniature collectors will love this. You like just being able to get the miniatures. You can just get the airships with a museum quality display stand with the little backing cards and the informatics, as if you were, you know, stole it from the museum. You can tell your friends you did steal it. That's a beautiful pledge level, by the way. Sorry, Max, that's just fantastic. But it does seem a huge leap to go from the game to the fancy game.
I understand, but think probably it's the opposite. I mean, in reality, the collector is not just the core version enhanced, but the core is the collectors reduced. I mean, in my experience, unfortunately, or thanks God, I mean, a lot of people that are in this field, that are so passionate about these things, old stuff, vintage stuff, they love something unique. So when I in my previous experience with other projects, from, I told you, from aircraft to book, I realized that the first to finish were the limited or collector's versions. So for that, I focused on them. Then I realized that I really want to make the game as much as affordable as possible. So I tried to reduce a little bit. What's the difference? I mean, it's really a different concept. Even if you see the cars, the limited is like the normal one, but has details, not covered by gold. It's just matter of details. So the book in the box engraved in wood, the possibility you have your small airship but painted with decals. So this is something that people really want, and I have at the moment more people that are pledging on the top versions than in the basic one. And this obviously, I mean, it's something that it's not surprising to me, because people want, I mean, I'm offering not just the game, let me say, but a sort of experience. So
Yeah.
if they want the experience, someone said, I don't want to play. I want to show the airship on my wall. I want to, so, and for that is sometimes I've been attacked by on Kickstarter because no, I mean, gamers don't probably honestly not understand, because I don't want to be pretentious, but I mean, sometimes even in other fields, this is a corporate project. is a is a very articulated. It's quite, you have the book, you have the models, you have the game. It's not just another game. Probably there are plenty of games that are 10 times better than mine, 100 times better than mine. But what I want to do is to give the possibility to people to be, in some way, to go deep into the into this period and this technology. So I want to help them. I don't want to, I mean, just to let them play. I want to let them dream. I'm probably, it's probably too much, I don't know, Andy, probably, but this is my job. When I draw an aircraft, I don't think about the speed. I think about the pleasure of people. And I think that they have to enjoy, not just to fly or just to pilot. So this is my vision. I'm probably wrong. I don't know, but I love this different approach. I told you I'm not a game designer. I'm a designer that designed the game.
Yeah, no, I kind of get where you're coming from, and when you say it that way, it sort of makes sense, and and I know, yeah, it's not that the game is inconsequential. The game is a consequence, or has come around as a consequence because of your love of aviation, your love of airships. The book obviously is a jewel in the crown, so it's like, I think I said this probably in a post on Facebook about it. The entire project is more like a love letter to airships and to the age of airships than turning around and going, oh, by the way, I've made a game about airships. You haven't made a game about airships. You have made you've made a shrine about airship aviation. And part of that shrine is a really nice, really attractive period set board game. And you're inviting people on board with the whole experience. And if you can afford to get the whole experience, great. And if you can only afford to buy part of the experience, you're still going to walk away with something that you look at and go, you're beautiful. Yeah, what you've got's beautiful too, but this is beautiful. This is almost more an emotive thing than a physical thing.
Exactly. Exactly, because I mean, the game is just one, I'd say, one side of this job I'm doing on trying to, I'd say, to tell. It's a story. It's a beautiful story. It's sometimes even tragic story, because we lost them. Think that when I do my conference, I say that I don't do research. I do paleontology, because everything disappeared. We don't have anything, any part of an airship now, right now, bigger than 10 meters, when the airship were 250 meters. So everything disappeared completely. We have some parts here and there in Europe, in the USA, in Germany, but there is no one airship, I mean, about the old airship, that survived. You can
Seriously?
have a, yeah, you can have a gondola in Friedrichshafen. You can have an engine in Rome. You can find, I would say, cabin in London, but there is no one remaining airship.
That I'm surprised at that, to be honest. I had no idea. I don't know why, but I just imagined that somewhere, oh, and yes, and there's the remains of, the US Navy, blah blah blah. That's really sad. It's really.
Yeah,
Do you know
but it's
what?
understandable,
Yeah,
because they were so big, so huge. They were made of cow intestines. So there is something behind the story. The story is a mix of high technology and really art and craft. So
it's fascinating though that something that nothing really much remains of has still been so embedded in popular culture. I mean, even in recent times, Doctor Who. I think it was David Tennant's Doctor Who. Whenever he went into the alternate London, what was the first thing in the sky? Airships everywhere. You know, and there's been about half a dozen films even in the past couple of years that airships feature. We just love it, but something, I don't know why. People love airships. We need more. We need this game.
but you know that in Andy, people think are still thinking that the airship disappeared after the Hindenburg. I think that during the Cold War, huge airships were used by the US Navy as a flying radar platforms in 1962 when the Blackbird was flying at 3,500 kilometers per hour. There were still airships in the US Navy, not in the, I don't know, in the Guatemala Air Force, let me say.
Yeah.
And think that today there's still a lot of airship and a lot of projects for a new generation of airship that are amazing,
Oh, but
amazing.
if there was a vote tomorrow, do we bring them back? I would be the first up on the platform voting for them, because I was watching recently. What do you see? I'll end up have been watching some of your mates. It was a documentary on, I can't remember what channel, but it was this team of guys who are literally trying to build a modern airship, and it got its first test flight. You're probably mates with them. You probably drink with them on a Friday night. I'm sitting there in my wee living room in Ballycar. I go, oh, look at that, it's the airship. And you're probably going, I'll just land my plane and give you a hand here, boys.
I think I flew the simulator of in the company of the airship you are mentioning. It's the Airlander 10 that is north of London in Bedford,
That's
and
it.
they and I'm working with them to bring this airship to the North Pole on 2024.
There you go, folks. Back this guy. Seriously, back this guy's project. He's building a real airship. Come on.
No, I don't build. In this case, they are building, but
Um,
we are working for to make real the flight, the possibility to fly to the North Pole in 4 years from now.
Look, if you were to tell me that you were the man making the coffee cups that were going into the cafe on the airship, I'd be telling people to back you and buy your coffee because you're still helping the project. Fantastic. Bruce Dickens has written the inside cover of his book. There you go. That should be worth about half a dozen of you pledging for this alone. The guy makes airships and he's helping make a real one. Get yourselves in there. Don't even bother watching the rest of the interview. Just go and back the project. um, right. Okay. I suppose we should get back to the project because there will be people watching us expecting to hear more serious things about the Kickstarter. Okay, here's one for you then. Looking ahead, you've obviously created a very interesting system, beautiful components. But at the minute, can you foresee the game expanding beyond its current sort of scope? Now, you've said yourself you're not by nature a games designer, but what I mean there is we have games today like Ticket to Ride, Memoir 44, where you've got the main game and it's got loads of stuff. But over time, they've added to that. So you can take the components out of this and play it on a new map, for example. Is airships something that you could see, hopefully, it gets the success it deserves, but that you could revisit and go, well, okay, let's do a Sahara adventure. Let's do a Depths of the Jungle adventure, same sort of thing.
Sure. since the beginning, we started thinking how to use the same mechanisms, the same gameplay for different development. Every game, like I don't know, Wings of Glory, that became was started playing in the World War One. Then they make the World War II. Then they made and so on. So we already have a couple of side projects right now to even developed. One is to bring the airship to Africa, to the equator, because in reality there is plenty of stories about airships in Africa. I can't tell you the story because it's a long story. However, and the second one is set in Amazonia because of the same reason. The Africa was because of the war, so some years before. The Amazonia is some years later because of the rubber.
Okay. It's just I'm glad to hear that there is something there, because so many games that we've played, and fair enough, a lot of those would actually be role playing games and things like that, where it's more about what you're thinking. But I mean, even just in our little chat over a coffee, we could see so many ways in which the mechanics of something like this and the tokens, maybe not like maybe not fully used in the same way, but could be incorporated into other games or other aspects, because it would just be lovely to see those sort of things reused again. For the people who haven't sort of had time to take a close look, can you give us an idea of what a typical, now, and I appreciate you're still working on aspects of the rules, but what would a typical player's turn be like in Airships: The North Pole Quest?
Okay, when you start, you have a nation, you have an airship, you have a ship, a cargo ship, and you have not enough money to reach the North Pole. So you have at the same time move your airship, move your cargo ship, and make money. And you have to manage the time, the distances, and the resources in order to raise enough money to to make possible to go to the last leg of your flight. That is to reach the North Pole, and finally coming back, mooring your airship safely. This is the main goal of the work. Every turn, the player has to manage some actions, and he collects actions, and with these actions he can move the ship, he can move the airship, he can hire crew members, he can make reparations, and he can refuel the airship. So in every turn, they have to balance the movements of both the ship and the airship in order to bring them both at the same time, more or less, in the Arctic Circle, and at the same time to make money. How to make money? Exactly like in the past, making commercial flights. You have a sort of a route map, a sort of a mission calculator, so you can see from your place where you can go, how I mean how much you are paid for this mission, carrying mails or carrying passengers, and so you have to go to the North Pole trying to make money and to manage your mission, because the weather changes. Obviously, everything can drift to your airship or can destroy your airship too. The thunderstorms are risky, like in the reality. So this is the gameplay. You have to take under control the weather. You have to move your airship and your ship, and you have to raise the funds to go to the poor. Uh, Now it's complicated. The game itself is not that complicated. The fact is that is not right. I mean, it's not a ride. You don't have to go and simply go to the North Pole and be the first. But we complicate a little bit the story to make it first more enjoyable, and second even closer to what happened in 1924.
Okay, I like it because it echoes what you're describing. Loosely gives me a feeling for there's the game Firefly, the board game of Firefly from Gale Force 9, where you kind of got the Serenity, and I know, not comparing them like for like, but I'm saying what the sensation that you're giving me over the description of the narrative and how you go about it echoes little bits of that. So I could well imagine if folk like the likes of Serenity as a board, or Firefly the board game, this might well push some of the similar sort of buttons about trying to manage your resources and manage your crew and time things right to make the right sort of journeys. I like the sound of that.
The goal, Andy, was to make the game enjoyable even for a long time, because the airship, every airship has a different set of performances, set of resistance, stiffness, let me say, different set of range. So the commanders have different skills. Some are more aggressive and some are more diplomatic. The same is because of the the money you can have from missions. You can have money or you can have rewards. If you have rewards, it's better because it's something you're doing something precious, but you can't pay your fuel with rewards. So you have to balance dirty money and fame. So this is exactly like in the past. They were doing exactly like this.
Like it. I really like the sound of that, and even the little look of glee in your eye as you're relating that. You know that it's like aspects of dirty tricks in the game nearly, and trying to juggle. So yeah, I can well see that being right up a lot of people's streets. Okay, where are we? Yes, no. Okay, I was the next question, question 11, as if there's a running order anymore the way we talk. What I was originally going to ask you was why your beautiful book isn't just on a Kickstarter on its own, but I've since got a better appreciation of why your book isn't in a Kickstarter on its own. So I'm going to change that question a little bit. And the question's this: given how beautiful your book is, but given that, you know, it's a different sort of audience you're trying to appeal to as well, why not a digital version of the book? I know it doesn't sit and look beautiful, but if you're trying to appeal to a slightly different or broader audience now, would a digital version of your book not make sense as well?
I have two problems. First, the book is very big. It's like this. And the second is that it's extremely expensive, the book, more than the game, because of the royalties, because of the copyrights and so on. So basically, I decided to make a special, let me say, a special booklet that talks especially about North Pole Quest. So this is a story that will be 20, 25 pages, will be put in the special version of the book, but the cost is very high. So if you want the book plus the North Pole Quest, you can buy the book by itself. Right. In the core and in the all-in, you have a booklet. You have the booklet. I mean, only the story, but the story is nice. Is more than enough to be in some way to be deep, to deeply understand the motivation of this quest and the history of each airship and the real profiles of each airship. So
Brilliant.
this is the idea. So if you buy the game, and even and it's impossible to fit the book into the game.
Oh
The
yeah.
game. So the idea is to, and but now because we all are also thinking to probably include the book. We are thinking, we are not sure, but there is a plenty of people that are asking to include the book into the all-in. So I have to make some calculation, but I would love, obviously, you can imagine, I love this possibility to make to make a bundle and to have the book and the game. So it's just a question of costs, because the book costs a lot and the game too. So combining, I don't want to make something that costs 500 euros. It's too much. So I prefer to make them, to let them separated, but to include the booklet into the collectors and all-in game. So if you want even to buy the book, you have to buy the game and the book. But the book is the book. The
Yes.
part of the book that talks about the topic of the game is available, not in a digital way, because and honestly, I don't like ebooks. I really don't. Because I want to touch the paper. Paper has to have a quality, has to have the feeling of a product, and so we decided to do that. In let me see if it will be possible to add to put I mean the book into the all-in um, all-in edition.
Yeah. No, I think what was lost on me, obviously on the page, I don't think it completely hits home when you suddenly showed how big the book is. I don't know that that comes across fully on the Kickstarter page. So that's why in my head I was going, why is he not just doing an ebook? So, you know, Jimmy down the road can throw €50 at him and have a digital copy of the book and be content. I now have a better understanding because you'd be sitting with your iPad kind of going, what page are you on now? Still on page one. Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I think I think that I spent for each drawing, each illustration of my book, for each airship, I spent from 30 to 80 hours. So I don't really want they become a JPEG. So I
No,
really want,
sorry, you drew all the plates.
yeah, absolutely. One by one. 25 different I think that I also made a lot of exhibitions in Germany, in Budapest, in other cities. I do exhibitions of the original drawings of my book, because they can be. My book is 45. Is like this. Is 45 centimeters, but my drawings, the original drawings are in scale. Sometimes they are 2 meters or 3 meters. And I drew them, obviously, with some help from my great collaborators, some 3Ds, some vectors, but I spent really, I became blind because it's a huge work, and so every detail, every is designed taking care of illustrations, original pictures, original drawings, memories, existing parts. So this is the I would say is this is the work behind the game. And the game has 6 airships, and these airships existed. And I drew this airship in perfect profiles, the profiles in the 60s and in the 50s and 60s, profiles were the top for aircraft. Such beautiful illustrations. I did the same. So in the collector's version of the game, you can have a poster with illustrations signed.
By you. Okay, so just let me get this right in my head. You can fly by planes and you own one. You're a lecturer. You're an artist. You've done exhibitions in Hamburg and other places. You're helping actually bring a new airship to life. You're mates with Bruce Dickinson. I don't know. Do you deep sea dive, wrestle volcanoes? Because you're pretty much ticking off the champion of the world list here.
And that's strange, and it's a really great question. Think that I live where Leonardo da Vinci was born, but I'm not a genius. I'm doing the same thing. I'm a Renaissance man. I like to try. I sometimes I fail, sometimes I reach the goal, but I want to try everything. I don't want to be focused on developing the screws for a door. That's something that scares me. It's so boring. I want to live my life, and I want to live let free my passion. So the passion is a great engine, is the best engine ever. So I'm not working. I'm just living. I'm just trying to follow my passion. If my passion brings me to airships, I go to airships. I like seaplanes, hydroplanes, and I'm writing a book now about the famous trophy, the Schneider trophy. And we are thinking to work even in this direction with the game, because it was fantastic thing to fly an seaplane above Venezia, Venice, in 1926. So I love these things, and
Yeah.
I can't do, and sometimes it's really complicated to explain, because people, when you do two things at the same times, you are not good. You're not good. I've been attacked on Kickstarter. It said, you are a beginner. For sure, I'm a beginner of everything. The first time my instructor said, Max, go, you can go with the plane. I was alone. It was my first time. You need the first time to have a second time, to have a third time, to have and you have 1,500 hours of flying. You need the first. And the
Yeah.
same is for now. So sometimes I, I, I mean, it's sometimes it's complicated to explain all these things. But we are talking about Bruce Dickinson. Bruce Dickinson is a musician, is an author, is a pilot, is an investor, is an entrepreneur, is also the pilot of his band.
And he's also an Olympic class fencer.
So fantastic. I didn't know that. It's another
Big Iron Maiden fan.
great,
Maiden fan.
great.
But no, you're funny. You're saying about being attacked on Kickstarter. I know where you're coming from, but Kickstarter has a lot of people seem to be finding a more aggressive. Aggressive is maybe the wrong word. Vocal, certainly more vocal edging audience. Probably because there have been more failures, I think, not more failures than successes, but there have been some big failures where a lot of money has been put into a project. The project has completed, but then never been delivered on. And I suppose, funny enough, the next question I was going to ask you was, to date, what's been the biggest challenge or obstacle that you faced going from idea to Kickstarter? But maybe a better question than that is, since this is your first time, how has Kickstarter been for you so far?
No, I'm really disappointed. Not disappointed is a bad word. Let me say, I'm surprised because I already put some of our projects of my partners, of my customers, like the one for the North Pole. All of them were crowd-funded. Even the British airship I was talking, it was crowd-funded. But when you go with an airship on a platform for crowdfunding, people don't ask for the manual. They they share dream and they say, okay, I want to fly with these things. I want to help these guys. I liked. Oh, I don't like it, so I don't want. But they don't comment. Ah, you are stupid guys. They are doing stupid stuff. Why aircraft are better? And this is what I discovered in Kickstarter. People, I fought against some of them, not fought. I mean, I said, guys, if it was a product, I was on Amazon, not here. I'm here because I don't have enough energy, means money, to to produce the game by myself. So please help me. I want to make beautiful stuff like my planes, like my books. I'm not here to sell or to pre-sell. Or, and the only possibility I have to ask for money is to give something back. So if you help me, I give you the game, the version you want. But I'm not here to sell my game. I'm here to help, to ask, to ask you to help me for the last 20% of my job. That's first to refine the mechanisms that I am not completely, I mean, I'm not completely happy with them, not because they are stupid, but I want to make them not perfect, but refined to
Yeah.
the right mechanisms for the right game. And the same is for the production. It depends if I do just some cutted paper, or if I do the airships in injection, or if I do the airships in metal. I would love to make them in metal. So please help me make them in metal. But they say, oh, I don't believe you because it's your first time, because you are not experienced. And this is what I then after some while, some of my friends say, oh, please, Max, go to fly. It's better. and think that you have your style. Follow your style and don't talk about these Taliban things, because this is something that is not is really strange to me.
It
I
is. No, I know where you're coming from, and certainly, I mean, we've watched and followed, and sometimes got involved with Kickstarter projects over the 7 or 8 years of We Gamers, and it is something that we've noticed in the early days. You know, Bob appears with his game, and everyone, yay! And Bob went, I need £20,000. Yay! And they throw money at him, and Bob would go away. And sometimes the game would work, and sometimes it wouldn't. Sometimes it would be late, sometimes it would arrive. And then there would be other times where a different Bob would come and he'd go, well, look, I'm working on a game. Here's the rule book. Let me know what you think. I'm kind of stuck. And a wee community would kind of develop up. And there'd be interactions and feedback. We've worked on a few ourselves where we were sent the rule book. The guy would send us the rule book. We'd go through it and sort of tweak the language and things and do voiceovers and stuff like that too. But there does seem, I don't know quite when, but there did seem to be a switch at one point where a lot, that's not fair. And this is where you're right. It's difficult with the language, even to think of the right thing from my point of view to say. There seems to have been a growing tendency for Kickstarter to appear to be used as a platform to pre-sell a game that's already ready. Sort of, I've got this product. Would you like to pledge to help it get made? Thanks for your money. Make that. There you go, lads. It's in the post. and it was kind of a done deal. And it seems to have lost a little bit for some people the magic of, how you doing? I've got an idea. I can't afford to make the idea. Will you help me? And I think with a few big projects that crashed and burned, and people got burned. I've got burned. I've lost money on Kickstarters and got nothing for it. But you know what? That's the risk. Kickstarter isn't I'm giving you money, you're giving me a thing. Kickstarter's I'm giving you money, and if it works, you'll give me a thing. And if it doesn't work, it's a gamble. I've lost out, and people seem to have forgotten that. There seems to be like this thing of, well, no, I'm giving money, and I demand my money back, or I want my thing. But like, you're funding, you've 25 days to go, and you're nearly halfway. So, from other projects that I've seen, you're doing well. You're on target.
It's I'm not, I mean, unsatisfied and really don't want to. I mean, I fixed my break even, and I really hope to reach at least break even, because I want to do the game. But think about one thing, just to talk about Zeppelins. When the first Zeppelin crashed, and the Graf Zeppelin, Count Zeppelin, that invested all his money in the project, was said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't. I have to stop my work." And Germany people pledged, and they raised a lot of money for him, because they believed in the possibility to build ships to sail in the sky. You know, imagine if, oh, Mr. Graf Zeppelin, I mean, what's the performance of your thing? I want to have to read the declaration of an engineer about the resistance of your structures. So that's strange. If you go on Indiegogo and you want to make something for it, I mean, Internet of Things, something that can help in your home for domotics, people don't ask for the manual. They ask for a lot of things, but they try to understand the vision behind, not the functioning and how. And show me all icons, please. This is something that disappointed me, but you know that I can fly, so I decided not to be too worried about. And my guys in the studio, they are more used about on Kickstarter, and they are trying to fix my problems, my what I lack.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's sad though, because people can be quite spiteful. I've seen it where people have clearly backed a project just so that they can go in and comment, and those comments are not constructive. And when those types of people are challenged, they tend to go, "Oh, grow up. It's the internet. I can say what I want." And you know what? Hopefully there will come a day where they can't, because bullying, be it digital, be it face to face, be it whatever, is not fun, and it's not clever. They don't look smart. Fair enough. If there's a genuine question that you're asked, you know, how does this mechanic work, or explain how this works, and you know, coming close to the close of your project, you're still not able to answer that, you know, you could understand somebody going, you know, I don't want to give him £75 for a thing that isn't going to work. Fair enough. I can understand that. But at day one, to kind of go, well, you want £70. I want to see everything that this is about first. Look, there's the information I've got for you. You like it, great. You don't, walk away. It's your choice. But as I was saying, you're 116 backers. You're halfway there. From what I've seen of other Kickstarters of a similar kind of goal and similar kind of thing, to be halfway with 25 days to go is good. The trouble for you, of course, is you're a creative and passionate kind of person. And it doesn't matter if 116 people stand there and go, "I love your idea, it's brilliant." One person walking along going, "Looks a bit crap." That's the thing that you'll think about in your bed at night.
Yeah. You know what is funny is that people that are obviously that appreciate your work, they write you privately, and people that attack your work, they write it publicly,
Yeah,
because it's a stage, it's their stage.
yeah.
So, and this is what I mean, but now I'm fine. I'm really relaxed. I think that I hope we succeed, because I want to make the game. But in case I know that I can do it even by myself, this was the possibility to make more, to spread the game, instead of keeping my own circle of people, but was intended to let people play, or let people know about this topic.
Let believers join in. This is what I think it comes down to. This isn't even about gamers. This is going back to basics and looking for believers. Look, if you want to believe in the dream of flight, come and fly with us. Go for it. I like it. I know. I get where you're coming from. Well, listen. One of the things we gamers we tend not to focus on negative things. We think there's enough negativity out there, and that's why if we don't like a thing, we just don't talk about it. It's like, oh, you haven't reviewed our game. No, that's right, because we don't like to say bad things normally. Moving on. Um, if not going to tempt fate, touch wood here, touching wood. If the project doesn't reach goal, is there
My
a
hands.
is there a plan B? Because you've already said to me, mistakes happen, things fail, you get up and you go again. So is there a plan B if this plan doesn't work?
First, my hands are on the table, in wooden table.
Yeah, same here.
The second is that obviously we have plan B and plan C. If you work, I mean, I'm not a special game designer. I'm not a special a publisher of games, but I normally work with plans B and C. The plan B is to make the game by myself for my customers, my trusted, I mean, people that trust in my job, because I told you that plenty of people are saying, oh, Max, I want the game. I don't care about details. I want the game because it's part of let me say, this world. The plan C is already, I'm talking with publishers. I'm talking with fairs. I mean, with events like Luca Comics yesterday. Like I can't say, but however, I am talking with them because they are extremely, they are interested in the game, because they have a different strengths. They can really produce it without the problem I can have, and they can really, I mean, distribute the game, and I can't. So for sure, plan A or C, I want to make partnership with someone, because I don't want to become as I did for my books. I didn't become a publisher. I'm a self-publisher.
Yeah.
And at the same time, for the game, I can be a self-publisher of my game. Or, and I would love that, I can even uh, give my game to some publisher or to some distributors, and I involve meteorologists. I would love to involve experts of this market. I'm
Yeah.
not.
No, yeah, know where you're coming from. But it's good because it just proves the passion that you have for the dream. That this isn't you coming to Kickstarter and going, this is it or nothing. This is it. And if it doesn't work, well, we find a new it, and then we find a new it, and we keep going until it works. And that's good. Listen, if that doesn't reassure people that at least your heart is in the right place for where you want to go with it, nothing else will. Looking back over your project so far, has there been any, now that I'm reading my own wording, I'm kind of going, what kind of a question is this? what's been the highlight? That's a better way of putting it. What looking back over the period of this project, has there been any wee moments where you look back and go, that was a brilliant day, or a great eureka moment, or just the thing that makes you smile and think, yep, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to get up and I'm going to keep on going because that's just made me feel good again.
Well, we are, my team is made is made of great people, so we are very used to laugh, especially on our mistakes. When we made the first prototype and everything was so beautiful, and then realized that I told you that the map that is rotating under the board didn't match. So, and instead of being obviously, instead of a bit nervous, we started laughing because it was really stupid. We designed planes and we can't we can't align a hole with an icon. So it was, I mean, I have plenty of funny things, things that a lot of this work was done in these months under the epidemic. So the lockdown forced us to work from distance for a lot of time. So it was, sometimes it was complicated to understand each other because we were all talking through internet, and we made a lot of mistakes in our communications. And obviously, I have plenty of things that I mean, helped us to be a little bit, I say, more light on this job instead of being too stressed.
Good. No, I can well imagine. I just love the thought of the aviation specialists, you know, designing planes and components and all the rest of it. And then you just all get around and go, we built that upside down, didn't we? Yeah. Shh, never speak of this again.
Yeah.
Okay, so bearing in mind time here, one of the things, in case you hadn't noticed, we gamers, we don't tend to take things too seriously, and we don't tend to get too serious. But we always like to end an interview in case it's been sort of tense or awkward, which yours hasn't been. You're like, you know, relaxed, you're class. But I'm going to still end with the fun kind of questions, okay? So my first traditional fun question, I'm changing it. In case you're all about to say, he's about to ask the bus question. I'm not going to ask the bus question, folks. You're in a lift, and you're with this lady who's getting off at the next floor, and she just happens to say, oh, I'm here to buy a present for my brother. I want to get him a game. And you think to yourself, yes, you're the last backer I need. You've got 60 seconds. How do you sell her on backing airships?
Oh my God, that's complicated. In 60 seconds, I can ask about the brother. Is it big or is it slim?
That's too
No,
seriously.
I mean, I can ask.
Seriously, you just tell her you've got 60 seconds.
Oh, I don't know. I think I need probably 600 seconds. I think is it a nice lady?
Oh, she's lovely.
Okay, so I think I can forget about the game, and I can try to invite the lady for a dinner and fuck the game.
Naughty boy. At least it was the game he suggested doing that too.
I can say that I always travel with my stuff. I can probably show the lady the last photo book I took about the game, and I can try in 60 seconds. But I'm not the right person, believe me, Andy. I'm not the right person.
This is a bit like Captain Kirk cheating in the Kobayashi Maru. Quite often, I'll ask this question or a version of it, which always leaves the designer with, you've got 60 seconds to pitch your game. Never in the history of asking that question has anyone said, I'll just ask her out to dinner. You know, and you're going to get away with it too. Here, love, do you fancy going out to dinner? I don't even know you. I fly.
But this is a strategy, Andy. I have a strategy behind that, because once at dinner, during the dinner, I can show them, can show I have more time. I can explain perfectly how
Oh
the
no,
game
that's what
works.
I'm saying. No one's ever thought of asking the lady or the guy or whatever out to dinner. You're the first person to think of that. You've just won the Kobayashi Maru question. The first person to ever win the Kobayashi Maru. There we go. Okay, so our last fun question. Let's see if we can get him with this one. You and your team, okay? Thanos or somebody has appeared. It's the end of all time, but because he reckons you're a nice bloke or whatever, he's going to throw you and your design team into your game world, okay? But only the person who gets to the North Pole is going to survive. So out of you and your mates, who's the one that's going to get to the North Pole? Who's the one that's going to crash their airship into the icy sea? And who's probably halfway through going to go, what am I supposed to be doing anyway?
Oh, it's funny. I'm but I am pretty sure that Elena, my right hand, she will be for sure the only one that can really reach the North Pole. Not because she's better than me in history, not nor in navigation, nor, but she's lucky. When we drive, she finds the parkings everywhere, and I don't. So I'm pretty sure that she can reach the North Pole, because, like Napoleon was used to say, "Please don't give me good generals. Give me lucky generals." So I'm pretty sure that Elena will be the only one in our team to reach the North Pole.
Who's going to meet a nicey end in the North Seas then? Is that going to be you? Are you going to be the one that's more likely to crash?
Sorry.
Who is the one most likely to end up crashing their airship into the sea? Remember, he's made this game real.
Probably me. Because no, because I think that I will be so excited looking around. Oh, look, the Svalbard Islands. Oh, the Franz Josef Land, and I probably will get lost. So I'm pretty sure that I can't really. I'm too let me say too dreamer to to think that I want to finish my. I can't. I don't really. If I was there, my goal was to fly, not to land onto the
I
North
don't
Pole.
care if I win or lose. I'm just
Exactly.
flying airship.
Is the journey is the destination, not the North Pole.
Good. Another good answer. Another good answer. Right. Well, Max, we have kept you here for over an hour. I apologize. Of course, there is the wee blip there where I'll do a little bit of an edit on that. All we can wish you, of course, is the very best of luck. We will be backing the project as We Gamers. There are 3 of us. Will be chipping in to go for the game. So fingers crossed. I know that's not going to get you over the target, but every bit helps. Even as we have sat here this evening talking about this, you've jumped up another. I think you've jumped up another couple of pledges in the looks of things. So halfway. 25 days to go. Folks, you will have this. You will have other avenues where Max will be talking about the game. I am sure he will be on other podcasts and whatnot as well. Do check it out. As I say, the link will have appeared at the bottom of this video. There will be a link in the comments section. There'll be a link in the description. Go and have a look at it and see if you can get on board with the fact that instead of simply being another board game in the sea of board games that comes out every year, this is part of a passion, part of a dream. It's part of a bigger picture. It's an experience rather than just a board game. If you can get on board with that and feel inclined to be a part of making a dream come true, chip in. Remember that Kickstarter is a risk-taking system. It's not there for a sure thing. We all like a sure thing. It's always nice to get stuff back. But every so often it's nice to give something without that expectation and hope that it's going to meet its goal. It'll make his dreams come true. it'll make your dreams come true then, if that's the case too. But have a look at it, see what you think. Even if it's just a little bit of moral support, there's a couple of lovely simple pledges in there. Just throwing a few euro, just a wee pat in the back. It's like hugging him, but you don't have to risk going to dinner with him because you know what he's going to be like at that. Max, all we can then say is thank you very much for your time, and we will be keeping an eye on you and hope that everything goes according to plan. We will hope that it goes to plan and that we can follow up this conversation with a, well, how much champagne have you drank in your biplane flying upside down over the Tuscan mountains to celebrate?
Thank you, and thank you so much. I really enjoyed this opportunity, and I thanks everybody, and I'm very happy that if you come to Tuscany, I will bring you into the biplane and to fly above my.
See you later, Mommy Wayne. Just as well I was wearing trousers today. Yeah, be careful what you offer. You remember it's an Irishman here. I might take you up on that, especially the excuse for Tuscany. Well, no, but do keep us posted, and we will be keeping an eye on you, and you will be in our thoughts. Any updates to that, we'll always try and share them with gamers as well. Folks, thanks for watching. Realize we have talked quite some time. That's my fault. I do that. If you've known the wee gamers, you know this happens. But do check them out and give them a bit of support and a bit of love if you can. It'll be appreciated.